Hi, Diddy here. This is going to be a tutorial on how I make this little mouse pin cushion. Now I do have one up, but in that one I wasn't showing a lot of it. I left out, and I got an email. Someone was a little confused on how to construct it. So I am going to go through that with you this time on this video to help you understand how to put the mouse together. Well, first of all, you're going to get your pattern pieces. So you're going to cut those out according to your pattern. You know, you fold, you know, this one says you on a fold line, and then you just cut around it. So you'll have this piece. You'll have your little ears, and it says cut 2 in your main fabric and 2 in a contrast. I'm just going to do mine in felt and fabric. So I got those cut out. Now for the base. Now for the base, they just want you to cut your main fabric on the outside solid line and a cardboard on the inside. Now this is the one I think that was getting confusing. So I have my felt that I cut on the outside solid line, and then I have the cardboard that I cut on the dotted line. So then I have my cardboard. So I have these two pieces here. And then for the tail, you need a piece. You just cut this 4 inches by 1.5 inches wide. And then we'll start with putting the tail together, because that's the first thing it tells you in the instructions as to how to make the tail. So you just take your tail, you're going to fold in a quarter to the center, fold in another quarter, and then you're going to fold it over. So I'm going to show you close up. This is why it's hard for me to do these tutorials, because I don't zoom in, so I have to come up to the camera. And then you fold this one into the center, and then once they're both folded into the center, then you fold them all over like that. And then you're just going to stitch it closed. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like. The instructions say using 3 strands of embroidery floss, blanket stitch along the open side of the tail to secure. So that's what I did. I just made a blanket stitch all the way across the top when I folded it, and then I did use some regular thread just to close in the tip, because that's the part that's going to stick out. This part's going into the body. So we're finished with the tail, so we can set that aside. Now this is the part I think that's a little confusing. The next step is to stitch the bottom edge of the body to the circular base with wrong sides together. Okay, so this is our circular base, and this is our body. And I think what's confusing is how to get this circle onto this piece here. So what you do with right sides together, wrong sides together, excuse me. These are the wrong sides. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to stitch it along the circle. So let me show you how it's coming up from this side. So you're going to be taking this and actually sewing it to the circle. So you're going to be going around the base like this and attaching it to the circle. So I am going to start starting it together, and then I'll come back and show you what I am, because I got to do that part off camera, because I need to bring this a little bit closer to me to do that. So I am going to be bringing my floss into on my thread. You don't have to use embroidery floss. You can use extra strong thread. That'll work too. You might even be able to use hot glue on this. I really don't know, or Fabri-Tac or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to as a matter of fact, you might want to come in a little bit closer. And I'm going to come in and just go and grab the 2 pieces. I'm going to just do another blanket stitch, I think, on this, and just go all the way around. I know, I'm sorry I'm a little wobbly doing this on camera. Because I'm looking off to this. I'm trying to look at what I'm doing and trying to make sure I'm in frame, and which is hard for me to do. As a matter of fact, let me just stop for... I'm going to come in from this side. I think it's going to be easier for me to do it this way. So I just brought my... Now I didn't go to the very end. It doesn't say anything about that in the instructions, but after you put this all the way around, you're going to need to have a little bit for you to sew up the back. So I am going to come in a little ways. Where's my needle? So yeah. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the base and a little bit of the circle. And so you just have to move the material around the circle as you're attaching it. And then you just keep going all the way around, and then I'm going to do that off camera, then I'll come back just before I finish. Okay, after you stitch all the way around, and when you get to the end, you're going to take it, oops, sorry, didn't mean to be is you're going to bring the seams together. Let me push that in. Oh, I'm sorry. This is why it's so hard for me to do sewing tutorials, because I need to have it so I can see what I'm doing, and 9 times out of 10 it's like way over here. Well, anyway, you just got to bring the seams together, and now you're going to go up about 1/2 inch and then stop. Let me do that and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so now I've stitched up a little bit. Now the next step is to insert your little tail, and you'll insert it with the unfinished end goes in here, and then you just secure it and continue stitching. Let's continue stitching up a little bit. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm just going to stitch over that, oh, about 1 inch past the tail, and then I'm going to stop. Okay, now I'm going to continue stitching up back like this. Okay, now I'm going to stop right about here and tie this off, and then I'm going to then I'm going to leave about 1.5 inches opening here, because that's going to be so that we can insert the cardboard and do the stuffing. And then I'm going to start again with my stitching, and then I'm going to stitch and close it all the way to the top. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I started stitching on the top where the nose is and came down to leave my gap. That way, after I stuff it, I can just continue stitching. But you can do it either way. You can stop and then start. and then just come back and fill in the center. So the next thing is to insert your cardboard piece. So what you do is you take your little piece of cardboard. I got two little thin pieces of cardboard that I'm going to put in here. And you just slip those in your little slot here and just, you know, push them down onto your base, like so. And then you just fill your little mouse with whatever you want to fill it with. I'm going to be putting rice in the bottom, maybe ½ an inch, and then the rest is going to be with, you know, polyfill. So let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and fill it. I'm going to sew it closed, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So this is how you get this on there. So yeah, this is was the confusing part on how to attach the base to the body. But so let me go ahead and stuff it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so he's all stuffed and sewn closed. Now the next thing we need to do is work on the ears. And you should have two pieces, one for the main fabric and then one for the back. And what you're going to do is put the wrong sides together and then just stitch around the circle part here. You don't have to stitch across here. Just around here, whichever stitch you want to stitch it. I'm just going to take a blanket stitch and go around. But you can do a straight stitch, you can do a whipping stitch, and if you're using glue, you can just, you know, glue them together, whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I did my little blanket stitch around the ear, so we got them together. The next thing we need to do is just fold the ear in half this way and just do a little tacking stitch. Let me get my needle and thread here and just do a little tacking stitch. This is just to hold this together. And then it's going to be like that, because this is going to just lay flat. You're just going to bend that flat. And then the next thing you need to do is take your little mouse and decide where you want to put everything. So you just kind of like set them where you want them to be, little ears. So you just need to figure out where you want your little ears to be. And then just pin it, and then you just sew it onto the head, your little ears. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll just find out where I want my little ears to be. And then I'll just, and then I'll just sew them on like so. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what they look like. Okay, you have the ears on. So now all that needs to be done is to add the eyes and the little nose. And I just have some pins sticking in there where the eyes would go. And so yeah, I hope that answers any questions with this pattern. And if you have more questions, just ask in the description box. Ask, in your comments. Also, if you'd like to have the pattern, I can definitely send that to you. Just email me and I'll just send that, the PDF, and I'll just send that to you if you'd like to have a pattern on how to make the little mouse cushion, pin cushion. So I want to thank all of you for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.